Hello, leaders of the world. Welcome to Spread Love in Organizations, a podcast for purpose-driven healthcare leaders striving to make life better around the world by leading their teams with genuine care, servant leadership, and love. I'm Naji, your host, having the pleasure to chat today with an amazing leader and innovator, Yacine Hadjiat. An MD by training with multiple business degrees, Yacine is now the global head of Biogen Digital Health Solutions. Throughout his impressive career, he led the teams and organizations in different functions and geographies as Chief Medical Officer, General Manager, Clinical Operations, and many senior leadership roles in the healthcare industry. Along with his career in the industry, Yacine had several years of clinical practice in pain and cancer care management, including NGO work with Pain Without Borders, especially in Africa and Asia. He also holds non-executive positions as advisor for the government agencies in Singapore, as well as medtech, health tech incubators. Yacine was recognized several times, including in 2018, top 50 healthcare leaders at the Smart Health Conference as a recognition for his work on equity in health and education. Yacine, it's just such a pleasure to have you with me today.
Oh, Naji, my pleasure. I'm a loyal and active listener of your podcast. I used to run with your guests, so it feels weird, but I'm so happy to be here with you today. So I will not listen to myself next time doing the run, but thank you so much for the invitation.
Well, thank you. Many will be listening to you and learning from you, Yacine. I would love to get started by your personal story. You know, you're a pain medical doctor who is now leading teams globally in the healthcare and digital health specifically. What's in between the lines of this great journey you had?
I guess one driver that could be the curiosity, and what we could call a great or successful journey is always in reality ups and downs and challenges, barriers, all together. But certainly the driver is having and trying to keep the curiosity and a mindset of a kid opening boxes and discovering the world, trying to do new things, failing and trying again, and exploring the world in the meantime.
What took you, from med school? Why did you choose med school, and why going to pharma? This is a question that usually we get as physicians, right? Moving to the pharma world. What drove you to this journey?
Yeah, the usual question: why did you choose to join the dark side of the force? I started the med school. Really, it wasn't, as far as I remember, it wasn't even a choice. It was kind of, I always had that in my mind, wanted to be a doctor and be at the hospital and treat patients. And that's what I did for years and the medical school. And at the end of that journey, again, I think started another kind of curiosity. I saw a lot of my friends going to business schools and doing MBAs and talking about figures, numbers, and looking very smart. And I just, at that time, honestly, it was more a kind of a curiosity and a pause. I said, okay, I'm an MD. I had all those years as a clinician and so on, but I want to discover this part of the healthcare world that I don't know, which is around the industry, a different kind of ecosystem and language. And I said, okay, well, probably go and do an MBA like my friends. And then I will come back as a clinician. And then a few steps and few challenges. The first one, I found the MBA, but I forgot that you need to pay for it. It was quite expensive. So through the MBA, I got a sponsorship from Sanofi here in Paris. So they basically paid for my MBA. And I said, okay, yeah, we cover the MBA, but you work for us for a certain period of time. And 2 days a week or 3 days a week, you are here, and the rest you do your MBA. And I was like, okay, sure, deal. As long as you pay the bill, I'm happy to do it. And that's how it started, honestly. I started with Sanofi, and I had a fantastic experience. It was in a strategy, market access, and kind of a public affairs department altogether. And I was just like doing a space travel. I got into a different new world from what I used to do and be as a clinician or as a medical student. I liked it, and step by step, other opportunities, other curiosities came along the way. Then I was contacted by a German pharma company called Grunenthal, specialized in pain. I was like, okay, this is more maybe related to my field, and I like it. It was a bit of R&D and medical. It was on the field in the beginning. I was started as an MSL, and then I had different roles. I was okay. Let's see what that looks like, and maybe I can learn from it and do also maybe clinical research and some phase 3, phase 4 studies that I'm not used to do. I did that. Then I had a break of pharma because I enjoyed the clinical research. I said, no, this is not what I want to do. Again, I told you, kind of a child with a candy box. So I took another one. I said, no, I want to do clinical research. So I went back to university, trained in clinical research. I said, maybe I should do it elsewhere than in the private sector. So I want to do the kind of governmental academia kind of research. And I aimed for the NIH, and I got invited as a guest researcher in the US. And it was again like a kid going to Disneyland and discovering a new word. Another challenge, I forgot that my English was a crap. So I got there and I struggled big time in the beginning, trying to survive. Ended up again being such a fantastic experience there at the NIH, doing purely clinical research. And then another opportunity came back to the industry, moved back to France. And I can continue like this. So steps after the others, and then a position, let's go to the UK, and then let's move to Asia, let's do something else. Let's add consumer healthcare. Let's do health tech. I mean, all this is 15, 20 years of stories, but the same trend, certainly the same trend, curiosity.
Yeah, and I love how you framed it since the beginning, right? Like this curiosity that took you, and this continuous learning. It's just impressive. Like every time you were, learning something, you wanted to learn something else. So this is really so powerful. So along this journey of, learning, leading different teams in different geographies, is there one big learning that you had through this journey as a leader? Is there one thing that you take with you and you say, this is something that I constantly needed to have, or that I developed as I grew in those different organizations, functions, and different experiences?
Great one. Certainly something that I have in mind as I need to continue and try to develop it rather than I have it or something like that. But clearly throughout all those different kind of experiences and living in different part of the world, being exposed to such a variety of contexts, people, and cultures, I think you learn, and if not trying to even force yourself to really be humble. First, because when you change directions, as I did, you always put yourself usually at starting again over and over again from scratch, where you know nothing. You have no legitimacy, you have no knowledge, you are just going after it. And usually you always do that. You do something, you try to master it and be comfortable at it, and then, okay, let's do something else. You certainly lose a lot of confidence and comfort each time you do that. You know why? Because you like it, but sometimes you feel like you're beating yourself. And okay, let's learn again. Let's go back to go to the bottom of the classroom, and I try to keep up because it's going too fast now. So you do it over and over again, and I think it helps you sharpen a kind of listen, observe, shut up a bit because you don't know. Certainly, you don't know better. Adding to that, the cultural aspect. Moving from, I thought I was always describing myself as a very open-minded, international kind of person. Born, I always define myself as a son of the Mediterranean Sea, born at a crossroad of multiple cultures, and Algerian, French, Berber. I was always thought, okay, I know, I'm open, I'm multicultural. But at the end, yet, when I moved from France to the UK, and to the US, especially when I moved to Asia, another space travel. I went to different galaxies where I absolutely knew nothing. I thought I knew, even when I moved with the industry and executive roles. You get big titles, big roles there, and you say, I moved from the European role to the international market role, like in Singapore. The idea was, okay, those regions are in different phase of their development. We've done so much in Europe. Now the emerging markets are coming. So you go there and you do it again. So you go there and say, okay, I know how to do it. I did it before. We did it before. And now I'm going to explain you how to do it. and you take your first flight ever to China, to Brazil, and you get slapped in the face because whatever you're trying to explain is just theories on slides. And so you get frustrated, you go back home and say, okay, I will do it again tomorrow, but certainly not the same way. And I will first try to listen and understand, because that's certainly different from what I've seen before. And you work on it over and over again, and you try to get always more humble, or always to keep that in mind on be humble, be benevolent, whatever the title, the experience, the role. Yeah, that's a kind of the journey. I'm still in that journey, but the journey that I have.
No, and it's so powerful, right? And when you're bringing listen, understand, right? Like you said this with the humility that you're sharing and that we feel. So I would love to double click, in fact, on those, transformations you led, on those change moments, because as you said, it's not only cultures that you change, but I imagine within the function you had now, and you've always been, really strong on tech, on AI, on digital, and the healthcare is going what we call transformation, right? Like digital transformation, like all those trendy words, you actually had to lead them and do them in with the teams that you had. So how did you lead? What are your learnings throughout those transformations that usually are not easy? Like every change is not easy when we look at, teams and organizations, and there's a lot of things, we can learn on change management in the books. So I'd love to learn from you. How did you do this successfully in those different cultures? Do you have like a magical recipe, or?
Oh, certainly not. No, a recipe, certainly not. But at least I think what I try to do, or I've learned to do, when it comes to innovation in healthcare as a whole, either you do it in medical affairs, in R&D, in digital health, or drug development, or in NGO work, first you try to surround yourself with people who can help you think and help you move forward as a leader. Don't think that you have your answer and you just need to get people to execute whatever vision you have in mind. There are people that could be very successful at that. Not me. I don't think so. Certainly, I can have a vision, an opinion, something outside that I'm going to fight for. I try to, but if you're not able to mobilize people around you to follow you in that battle and journey, okay, just do it by yourself. It's a different style of leadership. That's not where I thrive, and that's not what I like. So first, finding the right people who speak the same language, share the same values, who can first, maybe if you have something to share about a vision, can understand, grab it, and even take it forward. And sometimes when you are totally wrong, can come and challenge you and say, no, we don't do that here for this and this reason. So let's think together and adapt it. So it's not a recipe. There is no magic in that. As always, as a leader, start with the who, find the right people, be driven by the why, and then try to execute at a very high level of standards and trying to reach excellence. But yeah, define your why, bring the who, and then work on the what. But the who and the why are always what makes the difference. The what is the execution, and make it real and score at the end.
It's a great framework. Define the why, bring the who, and then work on the what, which is the execution. Yeah. You're leading now digital health, and you've been involved for years with also incubators. Like, you're really heavily in this. So I would love to hear from you a definition of what is digital health. We hear about it. Many of us talk about it. I'd love to have your vision of things, what it is, and maybe if you can give us, what do you think the future would look like for us?
It's certainly an exciting time, right? To be part of this transformation, whatever the outcome is. It's sometimes bumpy, sometimes fuzzy. Sometimes you need to navigate the buzzwords and the reality of the digital health, because it's all and nothing. But there is certainly something happening around us in the healthcare world, where the vectors, the players, the needs and the possibilities are evolving. Evolving not just on a linear way on we do this and we improve it a little bit and then we improve it a bit more. But new possibilities are popping up. Are we at the level of the promises of the digital health today, if you ask me, despite being now heart and soul into it? I don't think so. Maybe not yet. We're still playing with the pieces. But it's brewing, and something out of it. Either it's going to be at one point overnight, the world is going to change, or things will happen more on a chaotic manner. But the relationship that we have with healthcare, the healthcare management, the patient, the doctors, the role of the private sector is certainly shifting toward acceleration, toward new vectors, toward higher resolution. And it's opening a totally new world as, without sounding old, which I'm not, I hope, what internet brought to technology. We're still in healthcare a very conservative people and function overall. But I think the change is happening. It will take more steps to get there, but how technology is going to be embedded in our interaction with our health and with the healthcare as a whole is happening now, and I feel absolutely excited to be part of it. A small, tiny piece among millions, but yeah. So it's still to answer your question. Oh, sorry.
No, I was going to say not that tiny.
Oh yeah, of course, tiny. All of us are, again, but it takes tiny stars here and there to build the galaxy, right?
Totally. It's what's mine to do, right? Like, and start doing it.
But to your question, to answer precisely, I think we're still in the promise phase of what's digital health, a promise for a better health and a better future. We are building the bridge while working on it. We need also to understand that, but it's happening. Healthcare is changing, shifting, certainly with the help of technology.
Is there one thing that excites you most about it? Like, is there one thing that you feel if we nail this down for patients and ourselves, we're all patients at some point, this will be really a great digital innovation?
I'll give you maybe a pragmatic answer and one that is not. I start with the one that is absolutely not pragmatic. Things that excite me the most in the promises of digital health are things that I don't know. It's what excites me. I don't know. I don't know what quantum computing might change. I don't know if there is a technology that I'm not aware of that will certainly change the way we deal with healthcare. As someone who didn't know how to fly until he got access to aircraft, I don't know. If I knew that answer, would have been a different story. What excites me the most is certainly what I don't know yet. The pragmatic answer is, I think, in empowering patients. There is a power shift in the ownership of healthcare, on data, on accuracy, resolution of data, acceleration of research. Those are concrete elements that excite me clearly. When I work on patient solution to improve healthcare outcome, to not only digitize a process, but to digitalize it, to take it to the next level of possibilities, being able to do and see and capture things that were not possible before. Those are concrete progresses on solutions that I can work on to bring to patient or to healthcare professionals or for research. AI, machine learning, data management are also a totally exciting universe concretely, where we can use recipes on being smarter on how we look at the data, what we get out of those data, how we create smart engines that could complement our work or synergize our efforts to go faster and further on what we can discover and bring back to the community. Those are concrete elements that we work on and get me excited. but still, yet things that get me the most excited are those that I don't know.
I'm going to give you one word, and I want your reaction to it, with a word or a sentence, but a reaction to this. So the first word is leadership.
Leadership. Example. Leadership is you lead by example. Show the way and bring people with you. Not because you are the boss and you're just telling them to do it, but because they believe not only on what you say, but on what you do. So you connect the words with the acts. So yeah, example.
Innovation.
Going after things that I don't know yet.
Health equity.
A battle of every day. Either you work as a clinician or in a pharma drug side of the industry or in health tech. You always need to keep in mind that and make sure that whatever you are trying to do at the front of that innovation doesn't only serve the happy few, yourself and people who can get it, who can afford it. We are a few billions, and we are not all lucky to have access to healthcare, work in innovation, and so on and so forth. So it's a battle of in every act, whatever we do. Always remember that if your efforts cannot help reach as many people as possible, regardless of their status, whatever paycheck, class on earth they were born in, it's going to be worthless at the end.
I want to double click on this because obviously you worked a lot and you were recognized for health equity, and it's something that unfortunately I feel like COVID is just a mirror of all the inequities we have in the world. We just saw them, unfortunately, but they existed and they still exist. What are your thoughts about this? You've worked on it. What is something that all of us as healthcare leaders should do and focus on beyond saying we want health equity? Is there's one piece you think where we're lacking and where we should put our efforts as leaders today and actually start doing it?
Yeah, I don't want to sound like I'm lecturing on this and say we should do this and we should do that. Going back to my previous answer is the minimum effort that we can put on this is to be aware that, acknowledge that gap. We can do something about it. Yes, no, sometimes yes, sometimes no. Sometimes it sounds bigger than what we could do. Sometimes it takes little acts. Just first acknowledge that. If there are always activities, project topics that you will be working on, when you then sometimes think on, oh, I can do this for this, also to this part of the world. I can share this information. I can share this solution. I can go and gather insight from different kind of people and contexts and cultures. I can spend a little bit of my time in education activities elsewhere that my zone of living and comfort. There is no one single answer to that. I say, oh, we should no patent and do this. It's not about that. It's kind of self-awareness, acknowledge the gap, and the moment you think about it, almost every time you do something, once in a while, you will find a very little act that could have an impact in this health equity. And linking that back, Naji, to digital, as I know you are into this as well and are passionate about it, it gives me also hope, because digital healthcare, it's kind of a double-edged sword. And on one end, it will reinforce and even accelerate the gap that we have in health equity, because when it's expensive, when it's about revenues and so on and so forth, yeah, you will see some part of the world getting access to things that the rest of the world will never dream of. But in the meantime, if there is one thing that technology, internet, to be very simple here, is offering to the world, is we all almost all have access to it. And being close also to the ecosystem of startups and innovation in some part of the world, in Southeast Asia or in Africa, you see things that could never happen before. Developing a tech solution for telehealth is much more accessible for some populations now than having access to car industry capabilities, right? It's not the same investment. It's not the same needs. It's not the same framework. It takes one brain, a computer, internet to start innovating. And you see so much coming, so much from the developing countries in that field that it also gives hope. So technology, innovation may also help on that. As we work in that field, at least it's good to be aware of it and try to be part of it.
Yeah, I love it. Technology with hope. And then you gave, honestly, really great small steps that are crucial. You talked about awareness, little acts, education, information, and these we can do every single day, right? And just being open to educate ourselves and also help with the right information and reliable information in health.
100%. Connect with people, share info, take a bit of your time if you can. If not, you're working on a project, think on different part of the world that could be part of it or could benefit out of it. Again, not lecturing here on we should do this and this is the way, blah, blah, blah. Again, no legitimacy by doing so, but just be aware, keep it in mind, and somehow, somewhere, it's going to happen, and you will have this little act, and it will take your piece of effort to help the whole and people who need it the most.
I love it. What about spread love in organizations?
I love this title of your podcast. I mean, in a way, even though there are more and more efforts and awareness around it, it feels like we are being disruptive in the business world. Because I feel sometimes we're still in that world where leadership is muscles, testosterone in the room, and being bossy. Oh, he's tough, but he's good. Yeah. So what? Can we be good by being also benevolent? I'm not describing a la-la land. There are rules, KPIs, achievements, goals. But spreading love, yeah, be benevolent. You could be in a different position, in a different situation, and it's the situational management, right? It's not you are not just one block of knowledge and everything. It takes a very little to put someone bright, strong, and confident in a tricky position. I've been through it myself as I started this conversation so many times. You think you're at the top, you know everything, you have big teams and blah blah blah, and suddenly you want to try to do something else. And you are absolutely lagging behind. And it takes always as well for you to succeed. For me, in my personal experience, someone to come and look after you and say, okay, I'll explain, I'll help. It's okay. The values are there. So soft skills are there. Hard skills, we can work on it. So spreading love is at least start by being benevolent. Even more when you are at a leadership position.
Yacine, any final word of wisdom for leaders in healthcare around the world? You've been listening to the podcast, this is coming.
Sir, I honestly forgot about this word of wisdom. Spread love. If you're listening to this podcast, it means you're interested or even convinced. So maybe you don't need to change yourself and your behavior, but spread the word. By acting, by inspiring, and by talking about how we can be benevolent in this world. And certainly something positive will come out of it, no doubt.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Yacine, for this incredible chat.
Thank you, Naji. I really love this experience being now talking and not listening. Again, feels weird. But I'm happy to be back this weekend to my run and listening to some of the episodes that I still have on my phone. Thank you so much, Naji. It's always a pleasure to catch up with you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much, Yacine, for all that you do. Thank you all for listening to Spread Love in Organizations podcast. Follow us on LinkedIn and social media. Subscribe on your preferred podcast platform and connect with us on SpreadLoveIO.com. Most importantly, spread love in your organizations and spread the word around you to inspire others and amplify this movement our world so desperately needs.